Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Walt Disney, Rosalind Franklin, Sarah Good. What do all of these individuals have in common? They were all great minds who knew how to think outside of the box. They were men and women with great creativity and great persistence. But they weren't born with these character qualities. They developed them from their childhood forward. Great creativity is not a birthright. It's a talent that is fostered and pursued throughout a lifetime. These individuals did not sit for hours in front of a television or in front of a computer game, in front of a screen, doing nothing. Instead, they participated in activities that helped to build their mental capabilities. And they learned to see issues, to see challenges, to see promises. And they learned to be able to think outside the box, use their creativity to help to solve these problems. Somewhere along the way, whether as children or teens or adults, they developed the art of thinking. They learned to weigh, to judge, and to evaluate what they saw. They became innovative creators, discoverers, and persuasive personalities. If we want this generation of children and youth to follow in their footsteps, then we need to help to teach them to be individuals who think outside of the box to help solve this world's problems. We need to set them on this path. But how do we do that? How do we teach someone to be able to think outside the box? Well, one of the ways that I chose when my children were young, and I have 4 children, one of the ways I chose to help do this was through the art of storytelling. And I'm not talking about just repeating a story that someone else has written, but to actually teach them to be able to create the stories themselves. So when my children were young, we developed what was called story time. Several times a week, we would sit down and I would allow them to give me the first sentence of a story. And I would take that first sentence and I would develop it into an exciting adventure. And I always made sure to incorporate character and morals in the stories that I taught, thus helping to develop their own characters and morality. Then I would give them the first sentence of a story and have them tell me the story back. For example, I might have said something like, "She tugged her wrap more snugly about her shoulders as she peered down the darkened alleyway." And then I would leave it hanging and have them pick up from there. My children loved story time. To them, it wasn't work, it was fun. Sometimes the story would be told by one person, I would tell it, or one of the kids would tell it. But sometimes, and it's because they loved it so much and they all wanted to participate, and we didn't always have enough time for everyone to tell a story, we would have what was called shared story time. What this meant was we would start a story and each one of us would get 2 minutes, 1 or 2 minutes to tell their part of that story. I would ring a buzzer at the ending of that time and it would move on to the next child. And what was so amusing about this was all of my kids had different personalities. So where one child took it one direction, the next person who told the story might take it in the exact opposite. So we often had pretty comical stories. Today, I would like to encourage you to help build your son or your daughter's creativity while building your own through the art of storytelling. And it is an art. It can be a delightful activity that brings your family together as it builds creativity and helps to teach them to think outside the box. I'm Rockie Sue, and I'm a storyteller. Some of my stories, now written into books, can be found at RockieSueBooks.com. Thank you for joining with me today.